In episode 6, Ragatha points at Jax and tells him, "I know exactly what you're doing with Pomni, and it'll never work."
Getting close with Pomni to corrupt her?
She's not talking about hurting someone. She said corrupt. And later in that same episode, when Pomni tells Jax that the way he treats people might be the reason they abstract, he explodes and screams,
"Oh my God! You didn't even know him! You don't even know what people are like before they abstract! You..."
And in episode 8, we learn that every player in the circus has the same powers as Kane. If Jax had access to those powers without knowing it, he might have caused the abstraction of his two best friends, without ever understanding what he did. Let's go through all the evidence for this theory.
Oh my God. This is real.
Kaufmo was one of Jax's closest friends in the circus, along with Ribbit. And in the photo we see in Jax's room in episode 7, the three of them are posing together, making smug faces and holding drinks, and doing bunny ears behind each other's heads. Jax called Kaufmo Coffee, and he even lent him his bowling ball. In the pilot, when Jax, Ragatha, and Pomni open Kaufmo's door and find him abstracted, Jax stares at him for a second and just leaves Ragatha and Pomni alone. After Kaufmo gets sent to the cellar, Ragatha organizes a funeral, and every single member of the circus shows up, except Jax, who is the only one missing. He leaves right before the funeral, and you can see he looks sad. In episode 6, there's a moment where Jax looks at the performers' doors, and when he looks at Kaufmo's crossed out door, he has this angry look on his face. And then when he gets to Ribbit's door, he looks blank. Every time Jax's pupils get larger, it's when he tries to dissociate from the circus. And every time his pupils shrink, it's when he starts to panic or break down. Ever since Kaufmo abstracted in the pilot, Jax has been getting worse in every single episode. Like he went from being sarcastic and kind of entertaining at the beginning of the pilot to being genuinely cruel and angry as time goes on. Kaufmo had paintings all over his room before he abstracted, and one of them shows him staring at an abstracted figure with the word "Y" written next to it. And the theory is that Kaufmo watched Ribbit abstract before him and painted what he saw. Ribbit was Jax's best friend, and the first real hint we got about their connection was in the intermission scene in episode 5, where Jax is running through the circus hallways and stops in front of Ribbit's crossed out door. In episode 7, we see the photo in Jax's bedroom of him, Ribbit, and Kaufmo together. That picture is the only piece of evidence in the entire show that Jax used to be a completely different person before he lost his friends. Jax and Ribbit were best friends. Ribbit started going downhill mentally, the way everyone in the circus eventually does. The other members of the cast pulled away from her, because being around someone who is about to abstract is draining and unpleasant. But Jax stayed longer than anyone else, because that's what best friends do. The others basically handed Ribbit's care over to Jax, since they were so close and figured it would be fine as long as Jax was there. But dealing with Ribbit's deterioration wore Jax down too, and at some point, he started pulling back as well. Their relationship deteriorated as they started to fight more and more often. And one day, Jax told Ribbit he didn't care about her at all, that they were never friends.
You alright?
And this was the turning point. It was the last time he saw Ribbit before she died. After Ribbit's death, things started to snowball with Kaufmo, and Jax lost his two best friends in such a short time. And now, in the episode 9 trailer, Ribbit appears and says to Jax, "Have you ever done something that you regret?" And that question has been sitting on Jax's shoulders since before the pilot even started. But as the episode goes on, we start to realize that there might be more to this tragic story than just best friends who argue. Now I will talk about every hint we've had that Jax might have killed his own friends, and why it's important for the finale. Ragatha uses the word corrupt and says, "It'll never work," like she's watched this exact situation play out before with someone else and already knows where it ends. Ragatha saw what happened to both of them, so when she tells Jax that he's corrupting Pomni, she's not throwing out a random accusation. In episode 8, Kinger tells the cast that every player in the circus has the same conjuring abilities as Kane. They just need to focus hard enough to use them.
But so do we. We all technically have the ability to conjure. Just like Kane, requires a lot more skill and concentration for us.
Butterfly.
But there's a moment at the end of episode 7 that connects to this and changes what it means. Kinger, Jax, and Kane are talking, and Kinger brings up Scratch, who was the first person to ever abstract in the circus. And Kinger implies that Kane caused Scratch's abstraction by messing with his mind, and Kane gets visibly nervous when the subject comes up. That moment tells you that abstraction can be triggered by someone else. It doesn't always come from the person breaking down on their own. An outside force can push someone into it, and Kane manipulates the minds of the humans all the time. He wipes their names, he made Jax temporarily vegan. If King can do all of that and the players have the same abilities, then a player could accidentally do something similar to another player without even knowing they had that kind of power in them. Jax has been the most emotionally unstable person in the group for a long time. What if his anger, or his grief, or his frustration activated something? He could have pushed Kaufmo or Ribbit past the point where they could come back. And at the end of episode 6, right after his massive fight with Pomni, Jax rushes to the bathroom alone and has a panic attack by the sink. He just had this blowout with the only new friend he's made since Ribbit and Kaufmo disappeared, and he's terrified he just started the same cycle with Pomni that he thinks he started with Ribbit. And then in episode 8, right after Kinger explains the truth about CNA and the creation of the circus, Jax walks out of the room, goes to the staircase, grabs the railing, and gets another panic attack. He says,
Oh my god, this is real.
He had come to the realization that everything he believed in, that the circus was just a cartoon and they are cartoon characters, was wrong. The circus is real, and all along he had been harming real people. Think about what that means for someone who might have accidentally caused the abstraction of his two best friends. When Pomni says that the way people are treated might be what causes abstraction, Jax screams,
Are you seriously gonna blame me for something that everybody else did too? You didn't even know him. You don't even know what people are like before they abstract. They are not pleasant to be around. Like at all.
He leans hard on the word not when he says people become very unpleasant before they abstract. Like he's trying to talk himself into believing that it was Ribbit's fault for being difficult and not his fault for whatever he did. And right before that scene, Pomni called his archetype the villain, and Jax scoffs at it and says he's the funny one. And the reason he reacted so hard is because she accidentally described exactly what he's afraid of being. And in that same episode, after they win the competition together, Pomni tries to hug Jax and he pushes her. You can see he looks scared at first, then stares at his own hand, like he's remembering another time where that hand did something. And Jax always seems to be remembering the past. He lives in it, and he feels so detached, like he's only thinking about his memories. In the cafe in episode 8, he looks at his hot cocoa for a while, and during that scene, we can see what looks like the shadow of Ribbit, like a flashback of when they shared that table together. In the episode 9 trailer, Ribbit says to Jax, "Have you ever done something that you regret?" And that question is about something specific between the two of them that the show has been building toward for 8 episodes. The poster shows every character walking through giant Jax heads. And if that means they actually go inside his mind in episode 9, then they see everything. The guilt and the memories he's been hiding behind his villain act since the day Ribbit disappeared. And if Jax now knows the powers exist, and his mental state keeps cracking, episode 9 could be where he figures out how to use them on purpose. He suffers from being abandoned by his best friends. Imagine how he would end up if he learns that he killed them all along. He would just go crazy. And everything I said connects to the theory of Jax taking over the circus in episode 9. He could end up taking Kane's empty seat and becoming the villain of the finale. Pomni called him the villain as a joke in episode 6, but I'm afraid it won't be a joke anymore in episode 9.
As time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
What's your archetype then? The villain